it's Dave Ringo. Welcome to Across the Hooniverse, and we are going to look at the scoops and revelations that we received in Demons of the Punjab, the latest story from Series 11. So the first thing I want to talk about is the setting. The story actually begins not in the past, but in the present, which means that after the last adventure, the one that's Turanga Conundrum, our time travelers return to Earth for some period of time. So there is room for maybe an adventure in between or something like that. But then they go back in time at Yaz's request to visit Yaz's grandma. We see the grandma Umbreen there in the beginning. So they go back in time to August 17th, 1947. And there we meet not only Yaz's family, of course, but also the aliens that are the monsters in this particular story. And they are the Thijarians from Thijar. And the Doctor describes them as an assassin race, that they were the deadliest assassins in the cosmos or something like that. And so for a time during the story, we're thinking that they're bad. And the Doctor says that they're one of the ancient species, so they've been around a long, long time. Later we find out that the world was destroyed, they tell the Doctor, and they now have changed their ways, and now it is their intention to give honor to the unacknowledged dead, to visit them, the ones who are, I guess, lonely in death, who don't have anyone there for them, to go and to be with them. It seems a little impractical to me, only because there aren't that many of these aliens left. And how many people die that way? Trillions, most likely. Are they actually going to be able to make that many trips? This is another time-traveling alien species. They just keep multiplying and multiplying. It's almost like every alien can time travel, which is something I'm not really crazy about because it makes the Time Lords seem less unique. We're the Time Lords. Oh yeah, what do? We travel through time. Well, doesn't everybody? So I'm not crazy about the continuing to make new aliens that can travel through time, but these ones can do that. They are a bit similar when you think about it to the ones in Twice Upon a Time, which wasn't that long ago, where they visit all the dead too. But yeah, that's what's going on here. Now they're just to have an alien in here to make it sci-fi, but actually this is just a historical where they don't interfere. The aliens don't interfere, the humans don't interfere. It's just to have the story set in the past. It's very much in the Hartnell-style, except for the added aliens that don't actually do anything. But they do scare everybody, and, it makes it a little bit more exciting. Oh, and as regards the Thijarians, Prem believes that they killed his brother in Singapore when they were fighting in Singapore, but it must be that that's not the case, that he just saw them with his brother. His brother must have died, obviously, from his wounds or something like that, and the Thijarians just happened to be there, so it was just a big misunderstanding. We learned a little bit of techie stuff here that I think is worth mentioning. The Doctor says any object amasses all sorts of fragmentary spatio-temporal particles through its life, and the TARDIS can read it. That's kind of cool. I guess we got hints of that previously, but it's stated explicitly here that the TARDIS can do that. The TARDIS reads those fragments like date stamps, she says. The Doctor makes another joke about people that she's met in the past. In this case, Einstein. Again, it's a joke, kind of, but is it real? We don't really know when the Doctor makes these statements. It's kind of a running gag, right? So in this one, she says, "I haven't officiated in a wedding since Einstein's." So in other words, she married Einstein. His parents didn't approve either. Non-denominational, though. So yeah, it's pretty funny. But is it true? I don't know. One interesting thing happens when Umbreen says, "Women with me." And the Doctor looks at Yaz in order to check to make sure, oh, does that mean me? So the Doctor's still not quite, sure where she falls, in the categories. But that's kind of interesting. Now, when the story first begins, I kind of got the vibe like, oh, we're gonna do a timey-wimey, bootstrap paradox kind of thing here because Yaz is given the watch, the broken watch, and then I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna go back in time, and then somehow they're gonna cause the broken watch, and it's like a causal loop or something. No, it wasn't like that at all. Which I'm actually glad about because I think we overdo the causal loops in Doctor Who, and Chibnall's been avoiding these sorts of time paradoxes. So in this case, no, actually that watch would have broken anyway, and the Doctor and her team had nothing to do with it. But I do want to just talk a little bit about the time travel in this story and how it works. It's made very clear, it's made clear in the entire series, but for some reasons people still, Doctor Who fans still think that the Doctor's universe is somehow deterministic and everything is fated to happen, and that's not the case. The Doctor says very explicitly here, she says, if something happens to Umbrian, your whole timeline could be erased. No Yaz. We can't have a universe without Yaz. See, so she makes it clear that whatever they do, they could interfere in history there and alter things so that Yaz might not even be born. That's very clear. So, again, we're given very explicit testimony here in Doctor Who that fate is not set in stone, right? That time can be changed, you can interfere in history, and it's not going to come out as it was at the beginning, okay? Things can change. So, I think it's a point worth making. Anyway, I don't usually comment in this type of video on whether I liked it or not, but I did like it. I just want to say, though, that this harkening back to the Hartnell-style historicals, I think is a cool idea, and I do want to see more of it. We haven't actually seen a Hartnell-style historical since, well, Fires of Pompeii kind of fit that. It was modeled on the Aztecs, can't change history, don't interfere, but most of the historicals that we've seen, starting with Evil of the Daleks, maybe, and going forward, have been just aliens in the past. That's all they've been, just aliens in the past. And you do it just like any other adventure, except it's just set in a historical setting. But this one is more in the style of Fires of Pompeii or The Massacre or The Reign of Terror, things like that, where you can't interfere, things have to play out the way they play out, and there's some pretty nasty stuff going on at the same time. I liked it. Anyway, I will see you next week when we talk about our next episode. Until then, safe travels in time and space.